Hey guys, it's Mr. Schmidt here, and in this video we're going to wrap up shifters of the supply curve with three more shifters. And I have saved the hardest three for this video, but we'll get them together. So the first one that I want to talk about is input prices. And if you remember from the very first video we did, inputs are another word for resources, right? So this is the cost of the resources a firm needs to produce its products, right? So a left shift of supply would be an increase in input prices, right? If it is more expensive to produce your product, you can't produce as much because more and more of your money is going towards the resources to produce that product. Whereas a right shift would be a decrease in input prices. If it's less expensive to produce, you can produce more. So for an example, if I don't have to pay my workers as much money, right? Maybe there's a recession, maybe there's a bad economy, and workers are willing to work for less because some money is better than no money. That's less input prices, and therefore I can produce more of my good or service. The last two carry over from demand, but they just work a little differently because we're looking at sellers, not buyers. So the E, as you might have guessed, is expectations. Remember, expectations are, and this is actually one, I'm going to go ahead and stop right here and say, this is one I did not cover with demand. So feel free to reach out to me and I can walk you through this one with demand. This honestly is one I have never seen on an AP exam. So for my AP students watching, don't freak out about this one. For my regular econ students watching, don't freak out about this one. But I'm going to go ahead and include it here with supply. You can always come back and ask me about it with demand, and you'll be just fine. So let's talk about expectations. So expectations are what we think the future price of a product is going to be. What do sellers anticipate happening to the price of a product? So that will impact how much supply there will be currently, okay? So if sellers expect the price to increase in the future, then they're not going to sell it right now, right? They're going to hold off on selling the product until they know they can get that higher price in the future, right? They're going to say, you know what? If we sell it right now, we're only going to be able to sell it for $3, but if we hold off, we can sell it for $5 per unit. Let's wait till then. So less supply now. Whereas if they're like, whoa, we better sell it now because we know the price of this product is going to go down in the future. If we sell it later, maybe in a few months, we're anticipating a bad economy, people aren't going to want to buy the product, we better sell it now and get the higher price. So if the price is expected to fall in the future, that will cause supply to increase currently. And just so we're clear, this would be the opposite with demand. Okay, so I'll go ahead and restate this with demand just for those of you who want it. With demand, we just flip the arrow. A left shift would be if the price is going to increase. Let me back up again here. So with demand, okay, if I know that the price is going to increase in the future, I'm going to buy it now, right? So if a price increase in the future, this is for demand, then you would shift the demand curve to the right now because I'd rather get the lower price now. Whereas if you think the price is going to decrease in the future, then you're going to have less demand now because you're going to wait to buy the product later, okay? So that's one. Expectations, honestly, is one that I'm not too worried about anyone understanding at a really, really deep level, but I mention it just so that you have it. And then the final one is, of course, related goods. So yes, related goods makes a return appearance here with complements and substitutes. So let's do complements first, and then we'll do subs. So remember, complements are two goods that go together. In this case, two goods that we sell together. Maybe like hammers and nails. We sell both of them together. So for a left shift, if I'm getting a lower price for one of the complements, so if the price decreases for one of the complements, I'm going to sell less of the other one, right? If I'm getting a lower price for hammers, that probably means I'm not going to be selling as many nails, right? Because if I'm like, man, the price of my nails is falling, it probably means the price of my hammers are going to fall too. I'm not going to sell as many hammers, right? Whereas a right shift would be, man, if I can get a higher price for my nails, then I can probably get a higher price for my hammers as well. And so I'm going to sell more of both. And so it's a right shift of supply for the other good, the other complement in the pair. So that's complements. And so you got to be careful here because related goods is both demand and supply. You got to look to see if they're saying complements in production, which would be supply, or complements in consumption, which would be demand. If it doesn't tell you, assume demand. And then finally, we've got related goods, and that's substitutes. So a left shift. So for a left shift, if I'm getting if there's an increase in a price for a substitute, right? Let's say I can either sell desks or chairs. Well, no, those two would go together. Never mind. Let's say there's two types of books that I'm considering selling, right? I have two different awesome books. I'm a book publisher, and I'm going to sell one or the other. I'm not sure which one. But if there's an increase in the price of the substitute, I'm going to sell less of the other good because the substitute is getting me more money, right? If one book is getting me more money as a seller than the other one, I'm going to sell more of it and less of the other one. So it's a left shift for the other good in the pair. Whereas for a right shift, if the substitute is getting me less money, then I'm going to sell less of that substitute. So it's a movement along the curve for that good. And then I'm going to shift right on the other good in the pair because it's getting me more money by comparison. Okay? So I would encourage you to practice with related goods, with substitutes and complements. Do some graphs because do some practice because that's going to help you, especially with related goods. I will tell you, it is pretty rare to see related goods for my AP students with related goods and supply on the AP exam. Typically, if we're doing complements or substitutes, it's with demand, but I have seen it once or twice with supply, which is why I mention it here. Okay? So we've got subsidies, producers, related goods, input prices, tech, and expectations for supply. It's a lot to memorize. It's a lot to remember. So the more you practice, the easier it will get. So that's all for this video on supply shifters, part 2. Until next time, have a great day.